Perfect. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Meg Dabros. I'm the operations manager here at the RTO9. I would first like to acknowledge that the land we identify as the RTO9 is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat peoples. RTO9 and the Indigenous Tourism Ontario honor and respect the land, the people, and the treaties. We are extremely thankful for the original tour guides of these lands and all that they have shared. All those that reside, work, and play on these lands are treaty people, and we must honor the treaties in a mutually beneficial and equitable manner. With 1 in 5 Indigenous people in Canada living in Ontario, we believe working together in a mutually beneficial manner will help all Ontarians prosper through the joint development of the tourism industry. Ontario is home to one of the largest Indigenous tourism industries in Canada. RTO9 and ITO are pleased to be working side by side together under an MOU to help advance the Indigenous tourism industry in Ontario. As an ally to Indigenous people and a partner of Indigenous Tourism Ontario, RTO9 will commit to improving the socioeconomic conditions of Indigenous people through tourism by creating space for Indigenous people to tell their stories on their terms. So before we jump into today's workshop, just a couple housekeeping rules. One, today's workshop is being recorded and it will be available shortly after the session online on rto9.ca. We're going to leave questions until the end. However, please feel free to pop them into the chat or the Q&A section. We'll get to them at the end. Some additional materials and a very short survey will be sent directly to your inbox after today's session. We appreciate if you're able to take some time to complete that. But without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our video expert for today, which is Anna Ruck.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited that you're all here. In case anyone just popped in, I have 2 screens. So if I'm looking this way, I'm just seeing the same PowerPoint that you can see, and the chat's over here. So I'm not ignoring you and looking wherever. I have 2 screens. But I'm so happy that you're all here today and that you care to see what I have to say about video content marketing and all that good stuff. So we'll jump right in this morning. So I just wanted to recap quickly, since you signed up on Eventbrite, you don't quite remember what we're going to be talking about today. So I just did a quick recap here of sort of the things that we're going to try and hit in the next hour. And yes, as Meg mentioned, try to keep your questions to the end because I might get to it in a future slide, but I did leave time. So I'm going to make sure that we get to your questions. All right. So first and foremost, we're going to start with why you should be prioritizing video content marketing within your social media strategy. And do not worry, if you do not think you have a strategy, maybe you feel like you have a little bit of a strategy by the end of this webinar today. We're going to talk about how to identify your target market on social media, okay? Because that might be a little bit different than other places, but we'll get to that. And specifically how to attract and connect with your target market using video content on social media. How to effectively provide value, bolded, very important, via video marketing, and ultimately grow your following and convert those followers into actual sales, and how to brainstorm and organize strategic video content ideas and streamline your process. So we're going to touch on the streamlining part a little bit, but I'm hoping that you leave here today with a lot of ideas for videos that you can make. So that is my goal, and coming up with ideas that are really good ones. Okay, so that's the goal for today. But who the heck am I, and why am I here talking to you? I'll just tell you briefly a bit about myself. My name is Anna Ruck, as you know, and I have been doing this for like 8 years now, which is wild to me. In February, actually, will be my 8-year blogiversary, as I called it, because that is sort of how this all started for me. Working as a blogger and influencer is sort of how I like dipped into making videos in the first place, way back when, 8 years ago. I do so at Struck Blog, as you see there. That's my sort of mom blogger account where I talk about mom stuff. That's why there's a baby on your screen. That's one of my kids. But sort of what, it's been a long time. Like I did it before there were Reels and TikToks, before there were Instagram stories. I've been making videos, but a lot of that work has given me the practice and the exposure, that blogger influencer work, to creating content for the clients that I've worked with. Some of them are listed there on the screen, that I've created content for throughout that work. But when the pandemic started, a lot of the small business owners that I met in the community, or makers or things like that, that became my friends, were sort of like, please help me. You know how to do all this stuff on the internet. We can't have people coming into the door because, remember, everything was shut down. Lovely. And so I started sort of helping people with some social media advice and some coaching, and helping them actually create content. And that's sort of how this arm of my business was born, which is Social Struck. And I've linked the page there, and you'll find a lot of social media talk and digital marketing advice and things like that on there. But that's sort of how it came to be, that I talk about this stuff and I teach and I consult one-on-one or in groups, or and I'll actually come and help you create things if you need be, or things like that. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I have 2 kids under the age of 4. My life is busy and crazy, but I love this work. So I'm excited to teach you a little bit more about it today. Okay, let's get into this. Let's talk about videos. And I want to make sure that, if you're here, then you don't have as much of a resistance to video, but I want to start with why we even care about video as content, as marketers, as business owners, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that video should replace all the other efforts that you're putting out there in terms of social media. That's definitely not what I would preach, what I would say. I think video has a place, and it's really good at certain things that I will get to. But I always kind of start here because I know people feel really intimidated by video, and I get that, right? Some of the stuff you'll see out there is like so amazing that you're like, oh God, I can't do that. I can't make that. So I get it. And it does take more time and effort. It can, than taking a quick picture or something like that. So I totally understand, but video is really, really good at certain things. And so I don't expect you to dive right into making, 5 videos a week, or even 1 video a week. But I want you to sort of think about how it could perhaps weave its sneaky way into your overall efforts that you're already doing with some of these ideas. Because as you see there on the screen, like 18 hours of video people are consuming a week. I'm not talking about when they're binging Netflix at 8 p.m. when their kids go to bed. I'm talking about like they're on their phone, scrolling Instagram, Facebook, and they're seeing 18 hours of video on average per week. It's nuts. And that's easy to understand, right? Because videos are really engaging, and it's arguably more engaging than a picture or something like that as on social media. So let's think about where you could possibly use video, depending on how some of these might fit into your marketing efforts in general. So increasing traffic, those are those first 2 circles there. So increasing traffic, video just takes longer to consume, plainly speaking, right? It's so people are spending more time on your content. If you've got a minute-long video, they're spending a whole minute watching that video, hopefully, and it doesn't take a whole minute to look at a picture, right? So in terms of that, it has algorithmic benefits in sort of the back end, where how Instagram and Facebook work in the background, because if they're spending more time on your content and on your page, that is telling the algorithm, oh, this person's putting out good stuff. This account's putting out good stuff. This other account likes this account's stuff. I'm going to show their stuff to them more, right? So that's kind of one way that it works in the back end. Video is really good at conveying a clearer picture. So let's think about the last time you had to convey something to your customers that may have been kind of dry. Maybe it was like a policy, procedure, some sort of instructions, all written out. It's like people's eyeballs are glazing over, like they are not going to read this, right? But you need them to read it as a business owner. Video is really good at sort of tackling that. It's easier to convey a clearer picture, especially when something is sort of dry or lengthy. It's easier to explain that in a video. It's more engaging. You can be sure more people are actually consuming that information. And it doesn't have to be you talking on a screen. It can be text on a screen, and I'll show you an example of that later. Video is really good at generating new leads. That's the 4th circle you'll see there. And that is because, as I mentioned, with those algorithms, you will be on Instagram or Facebook for all of like 2 seconds, if that, before you see a video, right? So all the algorithms are pushing video ahead of other content. And so video is a really good way to reach people outside of your already existing bubble. So let's say you have 300 followers and you want to grow that following, right? You want to reach new customers. Video is really good at that just because of how the algorithms work. And if you ever look at your analytics after putting up a video, you might see you have a way more non-followers maybe that have seen that than they may typically look at one of your other posts that aren't a video. And because of that, video is really good at kind of expediting that know, and trust that we want to convey to our customers over or online, right? Because that's really what you want to develop. You want them to know, like, and trust you, and ultimately they become one of your customers, right? So it expedites that because you can show behind the scenes, you can show your face, you can talk, you can show your personality. So it brings that humanity aspect, that connectivity, right? Far easier than just a picture. And lastly, reduce repetition in customer service. This is kind of for you as like a business owner, as like somebody who already spent so much time on your work, right? It's a great way to sort of reduce the amount of times that you maybe have to answer a question or a really common FAQ, and it feels more personal, right? That kind of allows you to personally respond to that, maybe reducing how much you actually get that question since you've answered that question in a video already and it's up on your social media page. It might help. You don't have to answer it quite as many times because maybe they've already seen it, or maybe you can send it to people, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I want you to think about where it may fit in. All right, so now that we understand why we're here, why we care about videos, how are we actually going to figure out what videos to make for your business, right? So I've kind of come up with like a little flow that we're going to go through here today to hopefully leave you here today with some ideas for videos that you could make. So we're going to first determine your target audience. We're going to create your ideal customer avatar. I promise that has nothing to do with video games or the movie in theaters right now. And we're going to brainstorm some challenges and pain points, which is that's really the ticket. So that is what we're going to focus on. Let's start with the first part there, and we're going to determine the target audience that we're talking to here. I have online, as you see there in brackets, it's actually a very important qualifier on this slide, because I want you to remember that the person that follows you online or that you want to attract to do so online may not necessarily be the same person who is coming through your door in person as a result of seeing an ad in a newspaper or driving by a billboard or hearing your commercial on the radio. Not necessarily the same person. We are talking specifically about who it is that you are attracting and talking to on Instagram, on Facebook, on your social media. So that is really what I want you to think about, because you may already have an idea about who it is that you are serving as your target customer, but it might be slightly different online. And this is actually a really important step. And a lot of the time in my consulting work, people skip this and they dive right into creating content and making videos, which is fine. But a lot of the times they end up coming back here. And so I really would encourage you not to sort of skip this like foundational homework, which I know doesn't sound as fun, but it actually is going to really help you, because the risk you take in not sort of doing a little bit of this homework on the back end is that you're just not going to get the results you're looking for with your video content. If you don't first do this work, you're going to end up your videos are not going to attract or engage and convert the right people. When I say convert, I mean turning that follower number, which is great. Like, it's super great that new follower is following you, right? But ultimately, as a business, in order to stay viable, we need people to spend dollars on your business. And so when I say convert, I mean you're turning them from just somebody who follows you to somebody who actually spends money on your business, who actually converts into a customer. If you don't do some of this work, we're going to risk creating content that feels useless. And so this is often sort of what happens, is people have already felt this way. They feel like their videos, their message they're trying to portray is falling on deaf ears, like it's just not getting out there. Nobody's really watching it. No one's watching for very long. Maybe it just feels useless. You feel defeated. And as a result of all that, you're really not going to see a lot of social media growth. You're not going to see any significant engagement or that customer conversion that I mentioned, because you're just not talking to the right people. And so it's really important to start first to figure out who the heck are we talking to when we are creating these videos on our social media channels. All right, we're going to figure that out by creating an ideal customer avatar. And as I mentioned, I always laugh because some people are like, avatar? Like, what does this have to do with Steven Spielberg or whoever the heck makes that movie, right? Promise has nothing to do with video games. Sometimes if you've been in marketing land or if you've done other sort of training, this is sometimes called a buyer persona in the land of marketing. Basically, what it is that you in your mind have a snapshot of who your audience is represented by one particular person, one sort of fictional, but based in fact and reality customer. And so that is really what we're after here. The person that we're talking to on our social media channels, as I mentioned, might be different, might need a different approach. You can have more than one avatar, more than one kind of person that you're targeting as your customer, but starting with one is a good place to start. And then you might kind of reveal the others as you go through this work. But the whole point of this exercise is to have a vision of who this person is in our minds, of who we're talking to online, of who we hope is on the other side of the screen watching your content, right? We want to know as much as we can about this person so that we can provide them with content that's valuable so we can actually serve them, which is going to help you and your business in the end, right? So that is the whole point of this exercise. And we want to identify what their values and goals are as a person, their sources of info, their demographics, and their challenges and pain points, which is the most important part. And like, I cannot even tell you how important this is to do. You want to get as specific as possible with this kind of exercise. I have one client that I do social media consulting with, and she is an artist, and she has gone so far as to actually draw and illustrate what her ideal customer might be, the person that she's talking to on social media, which I'm not expecting you to do. God, I can't draw to save my life, but I'm just going to tell you, like, just so you have an idea, right, as to how clear of a picture you want this to be in your brain, because it's really going to help you when you're creating content, or even when you're just brainstorming content, because you're going to be able to think to yourself, how would this serve Jody? How would this serve Mark or whoever, right? What would they think about this? Is this a question they have? Is this something they would relate to? Is this something they'd be interested in? So that's kind of the point that you want to get to. You want to go from, oh, I have, 312 followers, and like they're probably mostly women, and they're probably mostly this age, and I'm basing that on the people that buy from me or that I see or whatever. We want to know more than that. We want to know how we could take those 312 people and kind of have a representation of one of them in our minds that kind of encapsulates all of them, if that makes sense. So how the heck are we going to do that? All right, here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to give you some guiding questions to help you figure this out. Now, do not worry about trying to write this down or answer these right now. I'm going to send Meg a worksheet, and she's going to send it to all of you guys. That's going to have the same questions for you to work through. A lot of people that I work with like to sort of treat this as a living document, which means it's never really finished. They kind of start, you add a few things. As somebody makes a comment on your Instagram, you're kind of like, oh, that brought to light something that I could put on that sheet. They add that, you look at your analytics, you add something else. So sometimes it's a living document. It gets more and more detailed as it goes. So I'll give you that worksheet at the end of today, and you can tackle it however you wish, whether you want to print it or do it on the computer, however works for you. But I really would encourage you to sort of go through this work first, because it's going to end up with a lot of really golden video content ideas. So I'm going to guide you through this so you have a better idea as to the lens you're sort of looking through when you're doing this for your own business, okay? So we're going to start with one here. What are the values and goals of my customer? So it's 2023. Everybody's out there living their New Year's resolutions, right? As if they're still active. And some of the values and goals of your customer might be that they want to be healthier this year, or maybe it's that they want to become more crafty. They want to make more home decor in their house. And you happen in your business to run wreath making workshops, let's say. Or maybe our customer is somebody who's really conscious of they want to be able to make more of their own natural products in the home. Well, you happen to do workshops on that sort of thing, or you happen to sell the ingredients they would need to do that, right? Do you see what I'm saying? We're sort of thinking about how the values and goals of our customer may align with the things that you do sell, right? So the experiences, the products, the services that you offer. So that's kind of the lens that you're thinking about your customer through here for question 1. 2, what are my customer sources of information? Why do we care about this? We care about this because we want to understand how the information that you are putting on the internet intersects, or how it is seen in the general scope of all the information that your customers are getting. So how does it fit into the larger picture of all the information they're getting, of the books, the magazines, especially the other social media accounts that they're following? How do you fit into that? Okay, so we just kind of want to have a vision of that in our minds. 3, demographics. What demographic information applies to my customer? That's just like the facts, right? What's their sex, what's their age, how much income do they make, are they married, do they have kids, that stuff. You're going to get a lot of that out of your analytics. And I really wonder when the last time you looked at that professional dashboard on your Instagram was, or you looked at your analytics. I'm pointing my finger at you because a lot of my clients admit that they don't look at it very often. I would really encourage you to do that. Big button, professional dashboard, right on the front of your Instagram. Click it, dive in, snoop around a little. You'll find a lot of this information. And 4, there's little blue stars around number 4 because it's like the most important part. What are my customers' challenges and pain points? So if we know what they want to achieve from question 1, we want to think about what obstacles they are facing in doing so. So we want to know what their challenges are, and we're kind of thinking about those in the scope of how does my business help them overcome those challenges, okay? But maybe you just like don't really know what your customers' challenges are. Like you're like, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Maybe you can think of a lot, but we need to know what your customers' challenges are, because we want to understand their needs. We want to understand their wants. We want to understand their problems. And if you can likely think of a handful of them, maybe if you've been in business for a long time, you may know, some of the challenges and pain points your customers have. If not, here's some ideas as to where you might find some of the information. You might find some in their feedback reviews, maybe the comments section on some of your social media posts, maybe in the inbox on your Instagram, on your Facebook, some of the same questions, some of the same stories you're hearing, sort of the same things coming up that might be a challenge or pain point that a few people have gone as far as to ask you about. So it's brought that to light for you. And again, analytics, even your website analytics can bring some pain points and challenges to light, because you might see, oh, everyone's abandoning their cart here at this step. Why is that happening, right? Is there something you can start to identify, something with the returns process, something with the checkout process? What's the hurdle here that's stopping people from actually spending money on my business, right? So those are some ideas if you can't think of some pain points that your customers might have coming to light. I'm going to give you an example here, which may also help you think of some for yourself. So in this example, we're going to pretend that we're a store that sells outdoor gear. Maybe you are. I don't know. What's hilarious about me picking this example is I truthfully, as an individual, know very little about outdoor gear. So why I chose this example, I don't know. But that's where we're going with today, okay? So these are 10 pain points here, 8 pain points here in the boxes that perhaps customers would have. If I am a store that sells outdoor gear, these are some of the pain points that I have brainstormed for myself. Okay, so let's say question 1 there, one of my customers' goals this year, or I'm a customer and I want to be more adventurous this year. I want to be more outdoorsy. I want to learn how to snowshoe. I know nothing about snowshoes. This really could be about me. I know nothing about snowshoes. I have no idea where to start, but this is something that I want to do. I really want to get more into this. I want to get into hiking and exploring and all that kind of stuff, right? That might be one of the pain points that I as a customer have, that this store can identify. Like, there are people out there who want to get into this and stuff, but they don't know where to start. Well, I do. I own a store. I'm the expert. I sell the products, right? So all of a sudden, because we sort of thought about it this way, we have an idea for this business owner, for a topic and for a pain point that they could tackle as somebody who owns the store, to get people in the door of the store, to get yourself seen as the expert in this niche, in this field, and frankly to sell some snowshoes, right? So because we work backwards, we can sort of think about how our product and service can help overcome your customers' challenges to help them reach their goal. And doing that with video content is the ticket, is the most effective way to sort of do that. All right, so we have some challenges and pain points that we've brainstormed, right? And you're going to be able to do that at the end of this, okay? You might have an idea or two floating around in there right now, but we have that list of examples. So now that we have the list of examples, how the heck do we create videos out of this, right? Maybe we didn't know what videos to create at all, but now we have this list of relevant ideas. Why are we going to create videos out of this? Why is the most effective thing to do, and how are we going to do it? All right. So we want to make sure that we work backwards like this as well, because this is where the value and the conversion and all of that's going to come from. If you're creating content, especially videos, that identify the pain point and then tell your customer how you're going to help them resolve that pain point through your business, you are showing them that you understand your customers' struggles and you're committed to solving their problems. You are more likely to hold their attention and keep them engaged with your brand because your content is actually helping them. If your content is just like, great, that's nice for you, that's nice for you in your business, nobody's going to care. Everyone is super busy. There's so much content and information out there, right? We are bombarded with advertising everywhere. Unless you are serving your customer and unless you are helping them resolve a problem or meet a need in some way with your content, and that is all that people are like, that's how they're going to stop their scroll. They're going to go, oh, this is about snowshoeing and I want to get, maybe snowshoeing is something that I want to get into. Okay, tell me more about snowshoeing. Maybe this is something that I want to do. How do I buy those? Do I come buy them from you? How do I know what size? You see where this is going? You are positioning yourself as the expert and the leader in your field, right? So all of a sudden you're establishing yourself and your brand and your business as the go-to resource. So when that person wants to get their adventure outdoorsiness on and they want to go buy snowshoes, guess where the heck they're going to go buy them? You, because you're the one that's putting content out there saying, hey, I know about this. I can help you meet this goal. See how this makes sense? Okay, so let me give you some examples here for how we could actually take one of these pain points and create a video out of it. So that first one there, as you see, I pulled out that one rectangle, the first one that was on our list here. Difficulty finding the right size or fit of clothing and equipment. So that is, a problem that this person would have, that might have, who wants to get more outdoorsy. What kind of videos could we make to address this? Spitballing ideas here. We could do size charts. We could do fitting guides. We could create a video that explains how to use a size chart. It could be you in the video talking. You could be showing how to do accurate measurements. You could be showing different sizes on customers, on staff, on things like that to help determine their size. You don't have to be in the video. It could also just be you showing it. It could be a voiceover of your hands pointing to things, showing sizes, things like that. You could just be showing the sizes, right? With your phone, that kind of thing, and showing the video that way. You could do something like that, right? You could do a try-on haul. Those are really great for giving people a sense as to how different sizes and styles might fit. You could have customers showing different sizes, something like that. It doesn't have to be for snowshoes. These are just sort of examples for videos you could make, actually showing them or explaining how they're selected or how to measure, things like that. Or you could do a Q&A where you don't actually have to show anything being tried on or sized, but a Q&A is a good one where you could answer the question talking, or you could use a pre-made audio to answer a question. I'll show you an example of one of those. Or you could answer a whole bunch of questions, like our top 3 questions that we get around this. And it could be you talking in the video. It could be text on the screen. It could be video of things in the store or places outside or something that have to do with this. And you are just overlaying it on the screen, giving these helpful tips and information. So even though this is only one pain point and one problem, and we've even extrapolated further and made it about snowshoes, it could be about anything. It could be about how to find the right skates, right? Maybe you're constantly getting the question about like, okay, I'm a size 8 shoe. What size ice skate am I? How does one figure that out? If you get that question over and over again, make a video about it, right? In terms of this example about the outdoor store. If I'm that owner, I might make a video about it to answer that question so that maybe people shopping online know how to get the right skate, or maybe people who want to come in to buy the skate are going to come to me because they see that I know all about this and I'm going to get you the right size. You see where I'm going with this? All right, so I'm going to give you an example. There's me. And if you're wondering about what all this stuff is behind me, it will soon be revealed if you don't already know. So with our example here, difficulty finding the right size or fit of clothing or equipment, how are we going to make a video that addresses that? So let's go with my skate example here, further extrapolate this. And I'm always getting this question about skates. So maybe that's a pain point and a challenge that people need to overcome. They don't know what skate size to buy. So they're just like, oh, I'll do this later. Or, oh, I'll have to go in person or whatever. Maybe they don't. Create a short video answering this common question. So this is kind of what I did, and this is the example I want to show you. So I own a secondhand maternity and nursing clothing shop in my home. It's called Struck by Secondhand. And a question that I was constantly getting and that I identified as a pain point for my customers, especially those shopping online, is I know what size I am in my regular clothes, but what size am I in maternity clothing? And I would get that question a lot. And I kind of worried that people weren't sure what to purchase. They were waiting for me to get back to them to answer that question if they're shopping online. Let's answer this question in a video so that we're removing that hurdle entirely. I'm answering that question way less ever since I put this up, and people are more likely to shop without me having to guide them because they've already gotten this information. So let me show you this quickly. It's super, super quick. And if you don't have your sound on, you don't have to hear the sound. It's a quick beat. So if you have your sound on, it's basically do, 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 do. And when the beat drops, I'm answering the question. So I've posed the question on the text on the screen there. What size what do you know what your maternity size is? My font is questionable. I've since changed that. It's hard to read in my opinion. But and anyway, it's the same size as your regular size because that is the answer. So if you hear the audio, it's literally like a, I don't know, 5 seconds or something like that, loop of beat drops. And that's when I answer the question. This was a sound that was just kind of like one I found on Instagram as I was watching reels. And I was like, oh, great. This is a great thing to apply to answer this one question for my customers. So that's an example of how you can do it. Did I have to be in the video? No. It could have just been a video of the clothes or something like that, but I could still answer that question. There's one example for you. I'm going to close that. I'm going to give you one more example. So this complex and confusing returns process was another pain point from our previous slides there that I've pulled out to show you an example. So let's say you're the store, and one of the pain points could be that the returns process is complex or confusing, and so they're not adding to cart, they're not buying it because of that. Maybe you've identified your analytics and think maybe there's something like that going on, or maybe you're just getting a lot of questions about this all the time and you're like, man, I need people to understand how this works, but they're not reading my returns policy because it's a returns policy. So how do we answer this in a video to make it a little bit more engaging to answer that? Okay, so we're going to film yourself processing a return. Like literally just pop your phone up, do it as you would. And then we're going to overlay the text you would otherwise write on a caption or somewhere where you don't think people are probably going to read it. We're actually going to put it on the video because they're far more likely to read it that way. So I'm going to show you this one as well. So with this one, you don't actually need the sound because it's just kind of like background music. So I have something in my shop called the $5 bin. And essentially I was getting a lot of questions about this $5 bin. Where did the clothes come from? The clothes in this bin are $5 because they're a little bit worn out or whatever, but they still have plenty of life left to them. So what I did with this video to sort of lessen the amount of times I was getting this question, and just sort of also as marketing to help people who may be on a budget shopping for maternity clothing or who just like need stuff for around the house kind of thing, telling them all about the $5 bin. It helps as a marketing tool to get people into my shop because there's stuff here that they can snag at a deal. Everybody likes a deal. Everybody likes to find a thrifty deal. So that's kind of the other angle of it as well. But as you can see here throughout this video, I am answering all the questions that I hear a lot around the $5 bin. If I had put a lot of this in captions or just wrote it on Facebook or something, nobody would read it. Nobody cares. You care as a business owner. This is your life. This is what you live and breathe every day. People are far more likely to consume that information that you want them to take in if you deliver it this way. And this is one of the easiest kinds of videos to make because you're just filming yourself and then you're writing text on top, and that's much easier to do. So it's a far more engaging way of answering those questions, serving your audience, and it will ultimately helps you as a business owner. Okay. So there's the rest of our pain points here that we sort of explored, and I'm not going to read all of this, okay? But here's just like some sort of brainstormed ideas for videos you could make that could sort of address some of these other pain points. I have one more example that I want to show you here. One of my favorite sort of things to pull out from this here, as you see there, I wrote video example, that fourth rectangle. Doing like a this or that. Videos are so good at showing how your experience or your service is a better quality than something else, or how your product is a better quality than something else. So with my one client here, she sells eco products, sustainable options to our sort of household things like paper towels and things like that. It's one of the many things she sells. So we created this together. I went into her shop. We did this together, where we're just showing how you can replace some of the things in your home with a more eco or sustainable alternative, because that's been some of the hurdle and the pain point that her customers have that she hears a lot. People are not going on their journey into becoming more eco because they find it overwhelming. They don't know where to start. How do I just replace one thing in my home with a more eco-friendly option? So that's something that she really wanted to position herself as an expert in the field. I can help you on this journey. I have all the products here in the store. So there's an example. Something you could do is to show like a this or that kind of example. That's another sort of video example I can give you for something like that. Okay, so we understand how this sort of works as a strategy, I hope, and how creating value and putting your customer at the top of mind is going to help you as a business owner, because you're going to be the first place they think about when they see that product or service. You've shown that you're the expert for that. So how does creating video content this way actually convert people? And I want you to sort of think about this a little bit here, because this is like a flow. The videos you create, the content you create, this is kind of how the wheel starts turning. And this is how video content can really serve you. And this is why brainstorming this way is really going to give you results. You understand your customers' goals and what they want to accomplish, what they need, because you've gone through that foundational sort of homework first. And you've been able to figure out how your business, the services, the experiences, what you sell fits into that. You can then create content, create videos, especially if they hit some of those marketing strategies that address that. And because your content is useful and valuable, that person is then going to end up following you because you're helping them meet a goal and serving needs that they have. So your content is not just like, oh, that's amusing. It's actually useful. And because of that, your business is going to be top of mind in the first place that your followers go when they actually want to purchase something. So that makes sense. I'll give you one more example here. Let's go back to our snowshoeing. So we're that outdoor retail store owner again, right? So my customer wants to be more adventurous. They want to learn how to snowshoe. They know nothing about snowshoeing. But my store sells outdoor equipment such as snowshoes. I offer expert advice. I could fit a snowshoe in my sleep at 3 a.m., right? So you're going to make content that portrays that. You're going to show that you carry that product. You're going to show that you understand how it works. You could even tell them where to go with their snowshoes, right? Like you're into this. Your customers see that. They save it, they share it, they're going to follow you because they want more of this good advice and knowledge that you have to share. And so then when they actually want to go buy some snowshoes, where are they going to go? They're going to go to you because they know that you have the advice, you have the product, you are the expert, you're going to help them meet their needs or meet their goals. And you've shown that with your valuable strategic content. Okay. I'm going to leave you today because I want to leave some time for questions here with a little bit of homework, because this may all be on the top of your mind right now. And you're going to get that worksheet at the end of today where you can kind of go through those 4 questions and you're going to end up here. I want you after today or at some point when you have time to just brain dump all the pain points that you think your customer might have. What is the entire point? What is it that you're trying to help them accomplish or do or experience through whatever it is that you sell, right? So because you know who you are talking to, you're going to be able to do that more effectively. So I'm going to give you that example from one of my clients. Their customer wants to live a more eco-friendly life. Well, my business sells sustainable eco-friendly products, and I'm going to make videos that show how these products can create a more eco-friendly life and household for you. So you're just going to write the pain points, but you're thinking about how that intersects with your business the whole time. But you just brain dump a bunch of pain points, open up a Word doc or whatever when you get off this video, and just throw them on the page, okay? You can do it that way if you want to, or you can start with the worksheet, but that's going to result in a whole bunch of ideas. We're like, oh, I could make a video of that. Maybe I could do a video of that, okay? So that's kind of like where I want you to start now that you've sort of like come to this point. And if you have that ideal customer identified and and you've done that worksheet and everything like that, the other thing that I'm going to tell you to do is really fun. Actually, I'm going to tell you to go watch a bunch of videos, go scroll Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and watch videos. Maybe set a timer so you don't, 3 hours don't go by, you didn't know, because that can happen. But to watch the videos and call it research, because I kid you not, it is research. A lot of people I do consulting with admit that they don't actually really watch a lot of reels, and watching them is going to really help you figure out how to recreate some of these ideas and things like that, how to apply them to your own business and brand, because you now have sort of this background homework that you've done. You're thinking about how your content serves that ideal customer. And then you can think about, how am I going to recreate this for Joey, for Mark, for whoever your ideal customer is? I do recommend that you name them, because it just sort of helps with that humanity, personal aspect. And then you'll see, right? Oh, maybe I could use that sound, and I could use that sound, and I could kind of do what Anna did answering that question. You could do something like that. If you do, tag me. I will reshare it. I would love to do that. But you might see some ideas for just like how to film, like what did they actually film, and then like they put text on top, like how did they actually do that? Maybe you hear a sound, maybe you see an inspirational idea that where they share like a blip of business advice or a story or something like that, and you're like, oh, I could do something like that. That doesn't seem like it could be too hard. You'll see different kinds of videos, tutorials, listicles, things like that, people talking. It might give you ideas as to like, oh, okay, do I want to do one where I'm talking in the video? Do I want to do one where it's text on the screen? Do I want to do it just like sort of showing that process? It's just going to give you some ideas as to actually film it. And on Instagram, the cool thing you can do is that you can save videos, which a lot of people don't know. You can actually save videos, and you can actually even categorize them into folders in the back. So if you have like a bunch of sounds that you really like, you could put them in a sound folder. Or if you think, oh, that idea would be really good for addressing that pain point, you could even organize them in there however you like. That makes sense. But when you're looking at your Instagram, there's 3 little dots in the bottom right, and you'll see the save option there. Because now that you have the foundation and the ideas, I really just want to encourage you to go watch stuff and go try, even if it's just an Instagram story. Starting is often the hardest part. And Instagram stories can be videos too. So that could be a good place to start. And remember, they expire in 24 hours. So you don't have to worry too much about what you've put out there or anything like that. And I just want to say that if you actually need any help, like want to talk about this one-on-one more, or you want somebody to actually come and help you with the videos, or you just kind of want somebody to help you sort of flesh out some of these ideas so that you can get started, this is me. This is where you can contact me. That's my Instagram, as I mentioned, at Social Struck there. I don't post as often as I'd like, because most of the time I am creating content for my clients. So I kind of put my own content last on that profile, but that's one of my 3 Instagram accounts. And then there's my email address as well. So you're welcome to get in touch with me at any time. And it is 20 to 11. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let you guys talk, and Meg field some questions so that I can, hopefully some of this made sense, and we'll see what you guys have to ask about anything I've said here.
Thank you, Anna. That was awesome. I see that there are quite a few questions here in the Q&A box. One is asking about 360 video and the Insta360 camera, Insta360 X3 action camera, if you know anything a little bit about that type of.
I don't specifically know that camera, Paul. I'm assuming it's one that does like a really cool 360 view of camera. Often the one thing that I'll say, that sounds very cool. And I think that like trying different features like that, if you're advanced to that point, is great. The one thing I will caution you on that I've seen some challenges around with filming outside of using your phone, I always recommend people just like start on their phone, start with an Instagram. Don't get any kind of editing apps or anything like that yet. Film it on your regular phone camera or within the Instagram app. Both work just to start. If you're to the point where you are trying out 360 and stuff like that, just make sure that you can get it onto Instagram or wherever you intend to post it in the same resolution that it shows there. Because what often happens is people will record on like a camera. Oh, I have mine right here. Camera like this, right? Like a DSLR. And then what happens is that it's like landscape on your phone screen, and it's like black bars on the top and bottom. And not only does it not help you with the algorithm on Instagram, but it's just not as much screen. It's not as engaging. It's not going to suck in the viewer as much. So just check that before you kind of like go outside and use any kind of cameras like that. Think about how you're actually going to get it onto the app that you want it on.
Excellent. So your next question is, what is the optimum length of a video? Like how long would it have to be without people getting bored?
It really depends on whatever the topic is or whatever it is you're addressing, right? Like if you are showing, how to do something like a tutorial, right? So I came across one the other day where the girl was showing how to clean leather. It had to do with my like thrifting and secondhand stuff, right? So I get a lot of that content kind of that pops up on that account on my Instagram. She was showing how to clean leather, like thrifted used leather, right? And this went on for a full minute, I think. But because she broke it up into steps, she sped up the parts where she was just kind of like doing something over and over again, but she delivered the right information. The shorter the better is often the rule, but if you have something like that where you're actually like delivering information and useful tutorial, editing it is important to make sure people aren't just like sitting there watching you like do something slowly and boring. So try to like kind of speed up that kind of stuff, but it can be long. I mean, go watch YouTube. Those videos on there are like 35 minutes sometimes, and because they give you a lot of information, people will watch them, but often skew on the shorter side. Often some of the best videos are literally 5-6 seconds long, like one of the ones I showed you there, but they do their job. So shorter is often better. Even, yeah, some people say 9 seconds or so, but again, you can't transmit everything in 9 seconds. So it depends on the kind of video.
Yeah, I was gonna say short and sweet. Your next one here is, how do you go about choosing the right face for your brand or talent when you want people in your videos because they're not comfortable being in front of the camera?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I do all the videos for Tourism Kingston. So if you watch their reels or TikToks, I'm in some of those ones. I'm not in a lot of them. A lot of them, there's no face in them. But I mean, they found me because I was already online and I was doing a lot of my stuff. And so they said, hey, would you be willing to maybe actually like not only make our videos, but be in some of them? There might be somebody in your community that you already follow on Instagram that maybe just see and ask, like, because you see them on their stuff and they like seem to be really good and engaging and stuff like that. This is going to sound kind of generalist, but maybe some of the like younger millennials and things like that, a lot of them are, attached to their phones. And so it's really not a big deal for a lot of people to sort of be on their phones. But I mean, if you don't want to be in them, you don't have to be in them. There's a lot of videos you can make where you're not in them. And if you want to find someone that is, I would just put that out there and see if there's anybody that would want to do it. Maybe even have a customer that's like super engaged with your brand and would want to be in some of the videos. You just want to find somebody who kind of has personality and isn't shy or isn't squeamish about being on videos and likes to talk and likes to connect with people, because really that's what you're after. You want that connectivity, that realistic human aspect. That's what's really most important. Somebody who's relatable.
Perfect. So next question is, how do you get good quality video using your phone?
So it depends what kind of phone you have. I have an iPhone, so this might be different on a Android or Google Pixel or whatever it is. I'm going to see if I can remember where this is now off the top of my head. If not, I can actually send this to Meg and just put the steps out for you. But there is settings in your phone. I just don't know if I can find them right now off the top of my head, where you want to be filming in like 4K. Hold on a second. And you can actually set the settings to sort of be optimal high quality. There's also a setting in Instagram if you're somebody who films in Instagram. But I can write, I don't know, Meg, if you can send something like this, because I'm just going to waste a lot of time trying to find this at the moment.
For sure. I can send
but I can write that out for you, because there's something that you can do on your phone, and then there's also a setting within Instagram. But I'll write that out and I'll quickly send it to Meg after this, and then you can make sure your phone settings are set up the same way. I'm just going to waste all this time diddling through my phone.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So do you have any guidance when you can use native tools and platforms to create video versus when you need a video editor? And what are an example of some easy to use platforms? So for example, like Canva.
Okay. Yes. When you're trying to decide if should I film this in Instagram or in TikTok or whatever, or should I film this kind of in my phone and edit it and then put it up there? The challenge is often the music. So if you're trying to create one of those cool videos that's like, it goes with the beat, like maybe things are changing with the beat, that's really hard to do if you don't do it within Instagram, because you can't hear the actual song, right? And Instagram has some features natively built into their editing where it will help you sort of like hit those beats so it looks cool. So they have, I don't know what this is called in terms of like how technology on your phone works, but it like vibrates as you're like setting where the text is going to stop. It like you feel it in your hand, like, oh, that's where I ended that clip. And so it has like little tools that could help you. So if it's something, I would say if it's something like that where you're trying to put it with the beat of a song, I often will edit those right within Instagram because I want to hear the song. And that's really my goal for making this video kind of entertaining. And to keep people sucked in is that I want it to go with the beat, and that's an important quality. If that's not as important, if you just got like a ton of footage and you kind of want to clean it up because like, oh, that part was boring, like it wasn't working, or I couldn't get the zipper zipped up right away or something, right? And you want to cut that part out, definitely use an external app. My two favorites that I recommend to people are Splice and CapCut. Those ones are really good. They are right on your phone, so you don't have to worry about like taking things off of your computer, onto your computer, anything like that. You can do it right on your phone. They have everything set up. It's meant for social media, video content, and it has a lot of like beginner tools already set up in there. CapCut will do templates and things like that, and Splice will even like you can have it reviewed by an expert like within the app. Splice I think has a bit of a fee associated with it. I've had it for so long that I don't know, because I think I had it when the app first started like 8 years ago, but I know CapCut and Splice are kind of like the go-to ones, and that's kind of what I would recommend that you start messing around with if you want to do any video editing.
Perfect. So had a couple questions about music. So is there a simple way to get songs onto Reels? And I know that some of the business profiles have different options in terms of what they're able to use in terms of music. So is there an easy way to get it embedded into a Reel that's a song that you're looking to use? And is there a way to find audio music that's better than what Instagram offers?
Yes. Okay. So you can actually now import music into Reels. So if you have something saved on your phone, even if it's like a screen grab or like, Spotify open and the music's playing and you do a screen grab of that, you can actually import that into your video on Reels. However, I haven't done much of that. It's a fairly new feature. I can't say how well it works, to be honest. I recommend just using the audios that are already within the app on Reels. Yes, there are weird little tricky trademark copyright things that go on with the music, and it depends on what kind of account you have and the region and country that you are in, because they can be different for different regions and countries. When you're making a Reel, however, I'll just show you on my phone. There's a music note there at the top, and that's how you would add music, and it would bring up a screen like this. You're able to search there at the top, and then it will also recommend some things to you there at the bottom, and you can play and sort of sample them before you put them in and see if you like it. The other thing is that, yes, sometimes if you have a business account and you see a cool song and then you're like, why isn't it letting me use that song? There might be something around the settings on your Instagram. One thing you can try, one little hack that I give people, is that underneath your actual profile there, under your picture, there will be a description of what you are. So mine says Anna Rock Content Creation Social Media Coaching, and then it says entrepreneur, which I mean kind of works for my profile, but I actually also have it set. You can actually have it set to entrepreneur on any of your profiles. And for whatever reason, Instagram will let you use some of the other audios that you haven't been previously able to use if you change that setting. I don't know why, but even though you're not an entrepreneur, you might want to set it that way. You can hide that from your profile if you go fill around in your settings, so it won't say that, but it's actually set up that way. And then you might be able to use Miley Cyrus or whatever song that you want to use. Also, if you scroll Reels, save them, and then you're able to rip the audio right off of somebody else's video by just tapping it at the bottom, and then you can hit and you want to use it. So that's a good way to find good ones too.
Excellent. So the next one we have here, well, it's kind of two questions. One is if there should be a different approach between TikTok videos and Instagram videos, and what ends up happening. So once you make these videos, where should they go live? Like, can you move them between different platforms? You need to put them on YouTube as well as your Instagram or your Facebook?
Yeah, you're likely going to have different audiences on your different platforms. Kind of one, I mean, if you already have all those accounts set up, I would not just like experiment, try, see what happens. Sometimes I'm surprised. I make it like thinking this is going to be a great one for my Instagram audience. I end up also putting it on TikTok, and it flies on TikTok and didn't do well on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, who knew, right? If you've already made it, there's no harm in slapping it up on more than one account. If you think you have similar audiences with similar challenges and pain points and sort of the same questions and things you're serving on both platforms, and there's no harm in putting it on both platforms. There are technical challenges around, especially TikTok. On Instagram, when you're creating a video within the app, it's really easy. You can hit the down arrow at the top and save it to your device. Do that frequently in case the thing glitches out, and you'll be really angry about losing your edits. But I often save throughout while I'm creating a reel, and then if I have extra ones in my camera roll I don't need, fine. But at least, you know, if it happens to glitch, I didn't lose all the things I just did. But because you're also saving it to your phone, you have a version on there that perhaps doesn't have the like Instagram text. So you could then take that video, pop it up on the TikTok, find the same music, or it doesn't have to be the same music. I've sometimes used different music on different platforms because I couldn't find it on TikTok and I found it on Instagram. Put different music, put the text using the TikTok tool instead, and all of a sudden it's on both platforms. It is harder to go the other way. TikTok doesn't let you save videos onto your phone without it being watermarked and sort of tagged in an easy way. So it's a little trickier going the other way. But I say if you've already had it done, experiment, put it up on everywhere. YouTube's a bit of a different animal, different filming orientation and stuff. So, but you can try. There's no harm in trying. But I'd say YouTube's a little bit different. But for sure, you could do Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook with one video and see what happens.
Perfect. And we're just getting a couple questions about what apps you would recommend using to help edit video.
CapCut and Splice. I put them there in the chat because maybe it's hard to hear what I'm saying. CapCut and Splice. So those are the two that I would recommend to sort of get you started. If you are at the point where you're editing, do not overwhelm yourself with that if you're just starting out. Just do it on your camera. Just do it within Instagram.
Excellent. And I have a question here about someone being the face of the brand, but wanting it to be, so presenting something in a way that is authentic and connecting with the audience, but that it's not them personally, because if further down the road, maybe they want to sell their business or move on, they want to maintain the branding associated with the business. So what is the best way to connect to a power personality, but without necessarily having your own face?
So sorry, like this is like, you don't want your face to be in the video because you may perhaps sell it in future. So you want to keep the branding consistent. That's tricky. That's tricky, man. You want to ideally have some, like ideally the business owner's face, you as the business owner, as the person actually, and maybe it's not the business owner, maybe you're the marketing person and that works for the business, right? And so you're the one that's actually creating the videos and putting up social media content. In my opinion, the best person that's actually in the videos is the person who's actually posting the videos, because that's the human aspect. That's the whole point. We want videos really good at that tether at making us feel like we're connected, even though we're actually on a screen. So I always encourage people, like, I know maybe you're shy or maybe you don't think you're good on camera. Guess what? Everyone watching you is not also like me, like this kind of big personality who's not shy, right? It doesn't matter. Like the best is really good to just show yourself. And if you happen to sell the business or whatever, just be honest to say like, this is what's happening, right? And so somebody else might be in these videos soon or whatever. I think those are always the best brands and businesses to follow, is that I know that person's name. I know Meg runs that store and I know she's the one's putting these up because she's sometimes in her stories, she's sometimes in her videos, right? And it's okay if she's not like super outgoing or whatever, because the people, everyone is different, people watching you too. What really matters is that they know who you are behind the brand. People ultimately, especially small businesses, want to support you as an individual, you as your family's business. That's where they want to put their dollars, and they feel good about putting their dollars in another person's pocket, especially if it's a local thing, right? And so I always say it's really good if it's just you in the video, and I encourage that, if at all possible, maybe working your way up to that. But I think like it would be fine to put yourself in it for now. This is where you are on your journey, and be honest about that. There's you know, you don't have to give total ins and outs of your business and stuff like that, but you know, to a point, adding that human effect and then or aspect, and then later if things change, then that's what you say.
Excellent. We have a couple questions here about engagement too, just in these last couple of minutes. So
Yeah.
do you find videos with music and captions more engaging than people talking? Is there certain times a day that you should be posting to get the engagement? And if text is the way to go, how do we use that tool?
Okay, so certain times and days, I mean, you're going to hear all kinds of expert advice around this. Here's something you can do. If you go into your professional dashboard on Instagram, it should pop up right on the front of your Instagram. There's mine, big gray button there. If you tap that, You go in there, you start diving in there, you're going to see, and all of this is tappable, like tap things, because they don't necessarily look like buttons. But if you go in there and you look at your insights, you can tap total followers. Once you hit that graph, it's actually going to show you what times your audience is online. So if you want to figure out when to post, maybe try to post when most of them are on their phones. Keep in mind, this is Pacific Standard Time, which is hidden in the hit the little I in their information. It will tell you that, but keep in mind different time zone, because I think Instagram's in California or whatever. So make sure you're thinking about that time change when you're looking at times. You could try to post at that time. However, consistency is important. So if you can't ever post at 12 noon because whatever is happening, then screw it. Post whenever you can consistently post, whenever it works for you, whenever you have the time to do it. It's more important to put it up there than worry about what time you're putting it up there. Is it more engaging with text and sound? Yes, a lot of people watch videos with no sound on. So if you can put captions, if you can summarize in text, I often do both. I have captions, the automatic caption tool that Instagram delivers, and I have a little where I just summarize what I was saying in that minute. I often do both because I know a lot of people watch stuff without sound. Sometimes when they're supposed to be working, they're like sneakily watching stuff. So, make it easier for those people to actually watch your video, I think. And what was the other question in terms of engagement? Or, how to put text? How to put text. I mean, we could do I can help you one-on-one if you need something like that. How to show the videos, or maybe we'll do another workshop where we actually dive into like nitty-gritty. But it's in there as a text tool when you're doing Instagram reels. There's letters. You can pick your font. You can text. You can type it on there, and then you can sort of change when it shows up. But yeah, that would be more of like a step-by-step tutorial.
I was gonna say, maybe that's something for the future that we actually have an
maybe we could
hands-on video.
Maybe we could do something like that. Yeah,
yeah, something to get a little bit more of a hands-on approach, so that maybe we
can. It's another workshop. Okay. Elizabeth would like another workshop. So okay.
There you go.
All right.
Perfect. So I don't want to keep anyone over time. I know that being respectful of people's schedules. So we are going to end the session. This is all going to be available online. If you have any extra questions for Anna, you have her contact information there. Please feel free to contact or ask some questions about video and how you can start incorporating it in your business. I want to say thank you to Anna for being here today. This was one of our most subscribed workshops. It was quite the audience that was supposed to be coming here today. So thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you to everyone watching for joining us today. I will be in contact again, a quick little survey, and Anna has a worksheet for you guys, and she's going to send some information about video settings. So I'll make sure to pass that along to everyone as well. So thank you so much for coming today. If you have any ideas for future workshops that you're looking for, please feel free to send them my way. I'm always looking for ideas. And if video is something that everyone's interested in, maybe we're going to do another follow-up that's a little bit more hands-on. So
awesome.
Thank you so much again, Anna.
Go do your homework so that you can come to the next one, and we'll have all your ideas, and then we'll figure out how to make them.
You heard her. Go watch some videos.
Go do your homework. Write your pain points, brain dump, and go watch some videos.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Anna. And we'll see you all again soon.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.